Welcome everybody. What's up? Good to have you back. It's been a long time since my last upload, so I'm really excited to get you guys this live stream going. Bitcoin, new all-time highs, about to hit 100K. We're going to talk about that, talk about some charts, go through everything that we possibly can to make sure that everybody's aware of what the market is doing. So guys, drop a comment if my audio is good, everything looks good, perfect. Let's see if I can get this to focus back on my face here. Come on. There. Okay. Everything sound good though? Audio good. My internet's been a little bit slow. Sometimes in the winter it can kind of slow down, but it's good to have you guys all apart. What up, Greg? Good to have you here. Let's see. Please, can you suggest an alternative inverse perpetual BTUSD exchange to Bybit? If you want a perp DEX, well, so like, are you using a centralized exchange or a DEX? Because depending on where you're at, a lot of Americans can't use centralized exchanges for trading leverage. So what I use, which I will, hold on one second. Let me pull it up. I use Apex protocol. So let me get you guys an invite link real quick and I'll drop it in the comments. Shoot, where is it? Referral. Okay. I'm going to drop this. This is where I do all of my leverage trading, but I am going to be buying like it's this little, it's like an ID. I don't remember exactly what it's called, but basically it allows you to get access, like a KYC verification to any exchange, even if you're not in America. So I'm going to be downloading one of these, but I just dropped the invite link to the DEX that I use to leverage trade on. But this is the DEX that Bybit created. So this is literally the same as Bybit. The only difference is, obviously, when you're trading a DEX, like the slippage is going to be a little bit worse because there's a little bit less liquidity. But with that being said, you know, that's kind of the give or take that you have to deal with when you're trading on a DEX. But like I said, I'm going to look for that ID thing. Basically, you buy it. I think it was like $250 and it lasts a year, or you can spend like $1,000 and get 5 years worth. But like, I guess it's in some country where it's just like a free territory type of thing. And you get this ID, and I guess you send them a picture of yourself, but you can use that idea to just like go and get an account on KuCoin or Binance or any of these Bybit, all of those exchanges. And then you can actually just trade KYC on all of the banned exchanges. So I'm going to be looking more into that and buying one and then seeing how they work. But according to everybody I've talked to, they're not only not illegal, but you know, they work. So win-win there. But yeah. Let's see here. How you guys doing, though? It's good to see everybody. Lots of people jumping in here. I'm sure everybody's real excited about the markets. I know I'm excited. I've been dying to make you guys a video, but I've just had a lot going on this last week. So I wanted to take some time to, you know, kind of mess around, do some things in my normal life. But now that Bitcoin's sitting at new all-time highs, like we've pretty much done what I thought we were going to do. So, you know, let's jump into that. Let's go into some analysis real quick. Give a little bit of an update around what I've been talking about and what I was expecting to see around Bitcoin. Oops, this is the wrong one. Hold on a second. Let me share my screen. There we go. Okay, so we're going to pull up the Bitcoin chart, and I want to talk about Altseason, when we're going to actually see Altseason, if we're going to see Altseason, some of those type of things, because I feel like that's the most important conversation to be had right now. So looking at Bitcoin, Bitcoin's about to break out again. You know, this little dip that we saw here in the opening of the market today is really just already bought up. So Bitcoin's ripping. We're about to hit our first target of 100K, which is really where I've been watching. If you guys have been watching my channel, I've been talking about this 100K level since we were back down in here. And the reason I was talking about 100K is because if we're looking at our prior cycles, we always know that there was a period of time where Bitcoin is going to break out into new all-time highs, and altcoins are generally not going to do a heck of a lot. And that's what has happened in our last cycle. 2017, it kind of did its own thing. But we were wondering, you know, is this going to be a cycle where Bitcoin's going to lead and we're going to see kind of altcoins get a little bit suppressed in that first breakout? Or is it going to be like 2017 where Bitcoin makes that new all-time high and altcoins just follow? Well, up to this point, altcoins have lagged. There are certain altcoins that have outperformed, but for the most part, it's been the Bitcoin show. So when we're looking at these two charts, I wanted to look at the Bitcoin chart, and then I wanted to come over here, and I wanted to take a look at, let's see here. Let's look at the altcoin total market cap. excluding BTC. So if we're looking at this, we can see that this is still all the way back down here near these range highs. And if we zoom out, go to a weekly time frame, we're still, way below these prior all-time highs, right? Bitcoin's sitting in new all-time highs, making this big breakout, and altcoins are lagging. And there's a lot of people that are feeling skeptical because of that. They're feeling like, oh no, man, when Bitcoin tops, altcoins are going to get hammered. But here's the thing I want you guys to be aware of. When we're looking at how these cycles are developing, yes, the altcoins are lagging. They're only sitting here finally breaking above those prior range highs that we made at the beginning of spring this year. So we're looking at them playing catch up for the most part. But we did the same thing in the last cycle, right? So if we're coming all the way back over in here and we're looking at kind of how that first big breakout played out for the altcoins and Bitcoin, Bitcoin made its new all-time high right here. This was the 20K retest, and then it went all the way up here to 42,000. But if we notice here, altcoins were right here at the point of Bitcoin making a new all-time high. So right here, way back below their all-time high. So we still had a lot of catch-up to do in the last cycle, and it was once Bitcoin hit that 42K region that altcoins still hadn't even tagged their prior all-time high. They were only right here. But if you guys notice, it was once Bitcoin peaked at 42K, made this 25% pullback or whatever it was in that pullback that the altcoins really broke out and went into their new all-time high. So I'm curious to see how it's going to develop in this cycle, because obviously we don't know until something happens. That's just the way hindsight works. But if we're looking at the last cycles, we did the same thing where Bitcoin made this big breakout, doubled in price, went up, from like 20K all the way up to 40K in one big move. And it was once Bitcoin topped at that first breakout that the altcoins finally started outperforming. And then Bitcoin rebounded and went for that next high all the way up to 65K. And the altcoins followed it, but outperformed on that whole way up. So we are expecting to see something along those lines. We don't know exactly how it's going to behave, but we do know that based off our current cycle and based off our last cycle, we're not that far off from that last cycle where we're still below our prior all-time highs. Bitcoin's made this big move going from 50K all the way to 100K. We've basically doubled in price in the same way that we did in the beginning of that last cycle. The only thing that we're really missing right here is just that first little pullback, which I've told you guys that I expected, Bitcoin to go up to 100K, make that first big pullback. And then it was in that pullback that we could see kind of what that route for the altcoins was going to be. Are we going to see the altcoins start to break out and outperform in that pullback? Or are we going to see altcoins get smashed and it's kind of after Bitcoin bottoms and starts going up again that we get that big rally in the altcoins? I don't know. We're just going to have to watch and see. But what we're looking at currently isn't that far off from the prior cycle. So I was targeting 100K. That was kind of my level. I was like, well, we're probably going to run to 100K. We'll see some type of a pullback. And then that's going to really give us the idea of, well, are the altcoins going to run during that period? Is that where that shifting point kind of takes place where Bitcoin wells rotate back into the altcoins? I'm leaning towards that being the case just because it's, really hasn't done anything different up to this point. It's more or less followed along to what I expected. I didn't really think that the altcoins were going to be breaking out and outperforming Bitcoin in that first breakout because all of this Bitcoin rally up to this point has been institutional dominated. The institutions really aren't messing with the altcoins as much right now. Obviously, we have some ETFs approved for them, but for the most part, it's been a Bitcoin show. If you're looking at the news, all these big institutions are really just looking to buy Bitcoin. And it's not necessarily a bad thing for the altcoins. It's just the way that Bitcoin develops. Bitcoin gets that first, rotation. It makes that big run. Once Bitcoin makes that first big breakout and doubles into new all-time highs, that's generally where we're going to expect to see that big rotation take place. So up to this point, is it any different? Not really. So I'm just kind of going to be following along with the same sort of rules and whatnot. But yeah, it's good to see you guys in here. Shout out to everybody that's jumping in. We got 107 viewers, so it's good to have all these bright faces. Everybody's getting really excited for this bull run, and I can feel it too. Like I said, guys, we got about a year, a little over a year of really, really positive bull markets. And, it makes me very excited because this is my third bull market from the beginning to the end, because I got into crypto at the beginning of 2016. So it was at the very bottom of that bear market when we started to go up into 2017. I was getting in there and learning how to trade back then. So I had the opportunity of seeing how the 2017 cycle played out from beginning to end. I had the opportunity of trading the entire last cycle from beginning to end. And going into this cycle with what I know today, it really gives me a lot of encouragement for you guys that are investing because I see a lot of those same similarities in price. The time frames are all the same. We're still following the same 4-year cycles. So realistically, it's encouraging because I think that we have to do ourselves, our own due diligence as far as just making sure we're taking profits, making sure we're getting out in a lot of profit sometime at the latter end of next year. I think that with everything pretty much coinciding and, following along with this playing out, all we really have to do is just take our profits at the end of next year, whether that's mid-summer, that could be something. I don't think that that would be a bad idea either. It's just that we really want to do our part by making sure that we're ready, knowing this is the year of holding. 2025, we just want to have our positions ready to go and hold. After that, we want to be really focusing in on that taking profit. When is the taking profit going to be? Are we going to be selling at the very end of the year, or are you guys going to be a little bit more worried about this sell-off? Like how in the last cycle, everybody was kind of watching for that big blow off top, including myself. We ended up just barely peaking above 69,500. So with this cycle, I think the best thing that we can do is really just look to take profits at different points. It's not like we have to go 100% all into the 4-year cycle. And if the 4-year cycle doesn't pan out, we're screwed. Because, even though we're following the 4-year cycle, I don't think it's going to be a bad idea to take some earlier profits. If you're selling sometime in like the summer of 2025, I'm not going to think that that's a bad idea in the slightest. I think that that could be a really good opportunity to take some profits. And we got to be aware that you're never going to sell the exact top. You're never going to buy the exact bottom. But as long as you're getting out in profit, it really doesn't matter, because you're going to see these altcoins drop super, super hard. And you're going to see them go to levels that you just didn't think that they would ever hit before. And you're going to see them hit those levels very quickly in the bear market. So, even if you took profit too early and you're sitting there beating yourself up because you watched it go up another 10x, you're going to see that thing far surpass those lowest targets that you had expected, watching them drop 90, 95, 98, 99%. So as long as we're just in the awareness of how these markets develop, I think we're going to get out and we're going to win, and we're going to have a really awesome cycle as long as we have it in our heads. Hey, we got one more year left to really make as much as we can. We've basically got 1 year to, depending on where you're located, Trump has talked about abolishing any crypto tax for companies based in the America. So if that's the case, a lot of you guys might not even really have to be worrying so much about taxes as a whole. So that gives us a lot of opportunity to actually get earlier positions, short-term positions, right? Because for me, I've been building my portfolio and encouraging you guys as well to build your portfolio so that we can qualify for the long-term capital gains bracket, right? So we want to be over a year and a day, so it's a lesser tax. Well, if you're American and you're not going to get taxed on some of this stuff, if you're just accumulating it inside of American-based cryptos, then at that point, we can actually have a little bit more of a risk on approach where we can accumulate stuff in the short term, knowing that we don't actually have to hit that, year and a day threshold, because we may not have to pay any tax at all. But keep in mind that that's really Donald Trump's way of bringing in the crypto industry to America, because up to this point, we've done such a good job of pushing everybody away from building here. So I think that all he's going to be doing is trying to get people to build in America, get your cryptos built here, blockchain technology, everything in America. And then once that happens, that gives us an opportunity to speculate on some of these cryptos. And then, if you can not pay a 20 to a 30% tax just by buying an American crypto, that in and of itself becomes a profitable narrative to follow. What cryptos are built in America? So those are things that I think are really important to talk about. But shout out to you, Bluetooth. Thank you so much for the donation. It means a lot, my friend. Been following you since the last bull run, Discord, etc. Keep it up, man. Can you give a quick analysis of the Speedy chart? Yeah, I can do that. Let's see here. Can you comment? I can't copy. Let me see if I can, actually. Hold on. Speedy. All right, I can't copy your token address, so I'm just going to have to go and look up Speedy over here on Deck Screener. Let me know if this is the right Speedy, because I'm not exactly sure which one it is. So we've got Speedy on Phantom, and we've got Speedy everywhere. So which chain are you talking about? We'll look at the Ethereum one first, because it's the biggest and has the most liquidity. But currently 8.5 million market cap, 455K liquidity, 725K 24-hour volume. Is that the one that you're talking about before I jump into it? It's the turtle. Okay. Which chain is that on, though? Because there's there's like one for every chain. Okay, we're on the right one. Okay, so with Speedy, just looks like a big ABC. I would imagine that this ends up coming a little bit lower here. We're going to probably end up finding support inside of this cluster at about 5 cents, 5 to 7.5 cents, I guess. That is where I would expect us to find liquidity. But overall, all this ended up doing was making just this first little run. If we're looking at this, this would have been wave 1, wave 2. This would have been wave 3, wave 4. And then this would have been our completing wave 5. And all we're doing right now is A, B, and C. Believe that we still have a little bit lower to go inside of wave C before this is over. But to be honest, this actually looks pretty solid. We're currently breaking down from this descending triangle right here. So technically your target could even go a little bit lower. Like we could actually grab this liquidity cluster at like 3 cents, just barely peaking below something like that. I wouldn't be surprised to see something like this, but it really depends what Bitcoin does, right? Because we're just really paying attention to Bitcoin because we know that probably we see some type of correction relatively soon, but honestly, we really don't. That's the fun thing about this cycle. We have so much institutional demand that even though I've had the target for 100K, it's really easy to think, okay, well, I've had this target for 100K. So once it hits that target, it's definitely just going to sell off. But, you know, it's just a target. Nobody really knows if it's going to pull back. The interesting thing about this cycle is we have so much new demand that we've never had. We have government interest. We have all these institutions that are finally buying it. But the institutions are starting to get FOMO. They're watching what Michael Saylor is doing on his Bitcoin investment. He's basically came out and said that they're making $500 million every single day. So if you're watching Michael Saylor taking MicroStrategy out of the depths of hell, making that chart go into a new all-time high, all because of his new investments into Bitcoin, it's giving FOMO to the rest of the institutional world. And that's something that I don't think people are considering is, have we ever really seen a cycle where the institutions are FOMOing in on each other? That's not even counting retail. If you guys like look at, hold on 1 second. Yo, shout out to you. Thank you so much for the dono, VidNibs. I really do appreciate that. Let me know if you have a question. I'll drop it and cover it too. But I'll share with you guys what the heck was I going to show you? I lost my train of thought. Yeah, I don't remember. But, oh yeah, the institutional FOMO. So basically, when we're seeing all of this happen, we haven't even seen retail take off yet. If we go to Google search trends, let me pull it up real quick. And if we look up Bitcoin, let me share my screen really quickly. You guys will see that retail just isn't here yet in the same ways that they were in the last cycle. And I think that that's really, really important to be factoring here. If we come over here and look at Bitcoin, Bitcoin may be starting to peak up from the last time I saw it because it is, you know, at a new all-time high. But if we're looking at this, how do I look at the all-time? Past 5 years. Yeah, see, Bitcoin's sitting over here and it just barely peaked at like a 73 or something on the scale. But if you guys notice, you know, we were hitting over here at the hundreds. And even over in here in this lower high period, this was probably during the Luna and FTX collapse, but it peaked over here to 75 still. So realistically, we're way down in here. We're honestly not really even that far up. So, and that's Bitcoin. Bitcoin's at a new all-time high. So if there's any crypto that's going to be getting any sort of publicity, you know, it should be Bitcoin. So if Bitcoin's still not even sitting up here at these higher levels, it shows to me that retail just isn't quite here yet. If we look at altcoins, for example, I can almost guarantee that these are, okay, they're finally starting to reverse over here. We're sitting at a 37. But if you guys notice, this still isn't even as high as what we were just recently at a 38 in spring of this year. So all of these are still relatively low in their accumulations. But I would bet that meme coins are probably, yeah, exactly. This thing's sitting at 100. So this is the one thing in crypto that is actually, you know, retail driven. We're talking about the meme coins. We're seeing the meme coins. And, you know, I think that the meme coin explosion is what is actually going to usher in all of these new people for all the retail investors. I really do believe that the meme coins are going to be where the retail investors get kind of put into this market. But the thing is, you know, the retail investors are going to learn about crypto through some meme coin because that's what everybody's going to want to talk about. But I believe that they're going to come here and then they're going to start thinking, well, you know what, I'm already late and some of these have already pumped. So what's that next thing that I can go in there and buy that's going to go up 20,000% or whatever? I just barely saw, I screenshotted it. Let me see if I can if I have it. I saw somebody post in a Facebook group the other day, and it just made me laugh because it perfectly showed what the average thought process of a retail investor is when they're actually trying to buy cryptos. See if I can find it in here. Maybe I didn't save it. Oh yeah, so okay, so I didn't actually save it. But basically this guy, he said Shiba Inu went up like 20,000% from its first all-time high. Its first correction, it ended up going another 20,000% higher. And then he said Pepe coin is only 5.5x above its prior all-time high. He said that if Pepe is to follow Shiba, a $1,000 investment is going to make you $20 million. And so he said this, and it's just like, this is the average thought process. They don't take in liquidity. They don't understand market cap or anything like that. They don't realize that, yeah, it went up 20,000%, but Shiba Inu back then had a market cap of maybe $1 million versus looking at Pepe now, it's got multi-billions of dollars in market cap, 5, 10 billion. I don't know exactly what it's sitting at right now. But that's the average thought process. They don't really understand the details. So they're looking at price. They want to find something with a low price because they're speculating, oh, well, if Bitcoin's worth $100,000, imagine what, poopy doopy coin is going to be in 5 years. Like, that's what they're thinking. So I do believe that the meme coins are what's going to bring in the retail. But from that, there are going to be some people that want to start investing into legit projects. They're going to be looking on chain. They're going to be going into different ecosystems, trying to find that next Bitcoin. Not everybody's just going to be a meme coin investor. I do believe there will be a lot of people speculating on legitimate projects as well. So, I think we still have a lot of upside. Just seeing the meme coins is really the only thing that's at 100. Should give you guys a lot of encouragement that we're not anywhere close to a cycle top yet. Shout out VidNibs, I appreciate it. Longtime follower, can you look at the Wassie chart on ETH? Oh, yes, Wassie. I actually heard about this just recently. Let's go pull it up. Wassie was memed after that Twitter guy. I don't even remember his name. I unfollowed him because I think he's obnoxious, but it doesn't mean his meme coin can't pump, I guess. Oh, this looks really good. So, Wassie. I have no idea if it's probably not even affiliated with that guy at all, but there is a crypto Twitter personality called Wassie, and I don't know if he has any affiliation with this or if it's just somebody else, memeing him. But regardless, the chart looks solid. If we're coming out to a log, the issue with some of these memes is the log chart doesn't actually affect it at all. So with this, we saw perfect 5-wave rise, wave 1, wave 3, wave 4, and then that was wave 5, big blow off top. A, B, and C. And so all we're doing right here, in my opinion, is just a smaller one of these. It's just like kind of like an echo fractal where, this thing could go down a little bit lower. I wouldn't be surprised if it actually retested this level before starting that reversal. But it really depends on Bitcoin, right? If we're going to see altcoins bottom down in here, this thing might actually do the same. Looking at it here, I could see the potential of a bottom. The issue is we're still kind of below downtrending resistance. So we have to break out right where we're at now. If we don't, this thing would probably reject, fall for at least one more low. But the fact that we're hugging this downtrending resistance super tight like this, generally the more tight that this starts hugging, it means that it's getting weaker, right? I always say that the more times that the price reacts to a given level, whether that's downtrending resistance, support, diagonal, it doesn't really matter. The more times that the price reacts to that level, the weaker that level gets. Because if you're thinking about it, if there's a resistance level, it means that there's people that have their sell orders or they have, they're providing liquidity and they're looking to exit at that level. So every time the price hits that level, there's a big sell order that comes in and, makes it lower. But you guys got to be aware that every time price hits that level, the amount of tokens available that they're selling continues to decrease. So every time that level hits, there's less and less liquidity to push the price down. So the second that there's no more, sell side pressure, the price eventually breaks out. So when we're looking at the price hugging this downtrending resistance so much, we're probably close to that breakout point, and it could actually happen right where we're at today. If we were to see this, maybe a little breakout like this, it could just start reversing right now. But big picture, honestly, this thing looks good. It's trending bullish. There's not really, it's got good volume down in here. The only thing that there isn't, really 24-hour volume, there really isn't a lot of volume right now. But also in these corrective periods, generally the volume just completely leaves. So this is one to watch just because of the fact that, I think that the Wassie is such a big crypto meme as a whole. it's probably just going to end up running, and it's already proven to have some support. So I don't think it's a bad move by any means. I think it's going to continue to trend up from here, just depending on how it ends up, kind of breaking out in the shorter time frames. Let's see here. P.D.I.Y and especially WBTC are crushing it lately. Wondering your thoughts on them. Yeah. So I got into PMaker. Where is it at? I thought I had it pulled. Yeah, PMaker right here. So let me share this tab. Okay, so this is PMaker. I'm currently up about 4.5x approximately. I was watching PMaker when we first broke out of this downtrending resistance, because I knew that if we were going to see any sort of narrative spinoff around P.D.I.Y, obviously PMaker is at the forefront of that. The reason I bought PMaker was because it had perfect Elliott wave all the way up, 5 waves up, ABC correction back down. And then at the bottom of wave C, we started to trend up. We had new volume coming in here. And I posted my signal at the very bottom of this retest because I knew that this was a breakout, a retest of downtrending resistance. And that was where I got my exposure. So I'm currently up about 3.5 or 4.5x approximately, a little under 4.5x, and looking to just hold this. I absolutely love the whole P.D.I.Y narrative, Atropa, all of those things. And if you guys, I know a lot of you guys aren't big into PulseChain like I am, but the truth of the matter is this, guys. The PulseChain ecosystem is actually working on building the very first truly decentralized stablecoin out there. And it's a really amazing thing if you're willing to take the time to actually look into it. It's the whole reason I've actually bought stuff over here. Like, I really do think that that is a narrative to watch for, because if we had a truly decentralized stablecoin, the big issue right now is USDC, Tether, they're all centralized. They can be shut off at any time. They can revert transactions. And so you can't, it's a big reason why people don't use it to trade and, do any money laundering and stuff. It's because if you ever found out, they can roll stuff back and blacklist your freaking address, and then you're just screwed. There goes all your money. So the issue with that is it's not decentralized at all. And we're waiting for, when is there going to be a truly decentralized stablecoin? Well, if you guys actually study what's going on over into PulseChain, they're working on it right now. And there's a very real potential that that is the first truly decentralized stablecoin. And if that does happen, the amount of value that's going to be created over here is truly mind-blowing. So, as much as people hate Richard Hart and all of those things, the more that I've spent over here, the more I've realized that the PulseChain community knows way more about liquidity and understands how all of these things, like how the charts move, more than any other community. Most people, they come over into a chain and they're just speculating, buying random things, but very few times can you go to a chain and you're feeling like you're really learning a lot about all of the crypto details. And PulseChain, I've learned so much about liquidity over here on that ecosystem, and their charts are perfectly showing like the understanding that they do have in the market. So if PMaker and P.D.I.Y are going to be the only decentralized stablecoin, not that PMaker is, but it's a part of all of that, then I think that this thing's just going to continue to run from here, and we're going to see this thing massively outperform a lot of cryptos. The thing people don't realize is PMaker, it's got a very tiny supply, and same with WBTC on PulseChain. That's another one that's going to just continue to run from here. But P.D.I.Y, BTC, all of those that are over here, even, for example, this one. This is the forked Dogecoin over on PulseChain that we bought way back over in here somewhere. I don't even remember, but it's starting to break out. So you have all of these copies over on the PulseChain network, and all of these are going to outperform the other token. Like, this is a forked Dogecoin, but I can almost guarantee you that this forked Dogecoin actually ends up outperforming the real Dogecoin long term. So they're working on a lot of cool stuff, and there's going to be a lot of profit potential. And I'm really excited to see what happens. Your streams and videos have fell off. Shout out. See, honestly, I upload less because really, I don't need to. I just have my crypto investments, so I don't really need to upload as much as I used to. So that's probably why. George had 770K. You suck, Jolly. I love you too. Oh, that's so funny. I mean, honestly, like, I don't even have a big channel. I still love you, though. Yeah, I love you too. I don't love your face, though. It's kind of ugly. Just kidding. Who's George, though? Is that a meme coin or something? I mean, realistically, what is George? Is that another crypto influencer? Or what? Either way, let's go look at XRP because I've had about 50 comments asking me about it, and it is absolutely mooning right now. So let's pull this up. Let's go to this one. Alrighty. So as you guys can see from my last analysis, we're pretty much perfectly following to what I drew. We pulled back in the exact spot that I thought we would, and we're continuing on up. So far, XRP is just really just doing what I thought it was going to. Coming out here, let's go to a weekly time frame. Let's just restart the analysis. I've been talking about XRP for forever, but what I was talking to you guys about recently was how we'd finally broken from that downtrending resistance, right? This was, just hugging it. It really wasn't a breakout necessarily, but this is the breakout. We finally got that. And what I was telling you guys was that we were going to instantly teleport to about $1.50, upwards of $2. So we've pretty much tagged that first target at $1.40. And, chances are this thing's just going to continue to go up from here. But, this is one that I've maintained my bullish thesis on, because when we're looking at cryptos that have real adoption, there really isn't any more than XRP. Like if you're comparing XRP to other cryptos, XRP has significantly more adoption than virtually all cryptos out there. So now that the SEC lawsuit, all that crap's kind of water under the bridge, we're going to be looking at this thing finally getting that ETF, getting all of that regulatory approval. Brad Garlickhouse just barely met up with Trump and the administration. So he's working side by side with that team, making sure that they're at the forefront. You really can't get a more perfect storm for XRP than what is taking place. In the short time frames, I wouldn't be surprised if we did see a pullback around these levels, because that was the level I was watching for. But what I talked about was whether we peak here or whether we end up running up here a little bit higher. I was anticipating we would see some type of a pullback, and then that's basically our last real pullback before we get that new all-time high breakout. XRP is not going to wait around. I do believe that we have basically one little correction. And if we're looking at this is just going to be the disbelief phase. Go through disbelief, and then it'll start breaking out and really start running. And then that's where things are going to get really fun, in my opinion. So anybody watching, keep holding your XRP, because this thing's finally to the point of breaking out and ripping. I know that we've been waiting here. I mean, if you've been following my channel, I've been holding XRP since like July of 2018, like way back there, forever ago. We've been in XRP for so freaking long, and it's finally starting to break out. So it's exciting. I'm excited nonetheless. That's the problem with Richard Hart and PulseChain. PulseChain people is that they don't know anything except the crappy piece of crap. I mean, here's the thing. Realistically, the PulseChain people know way more about liquidity and know way more about crypto than virtually all the other chains, because here's the thing. I've bridged to all of these chains. I've been a part of these communities. I've had conversations with the top people in their chains, and very few people understand anything about crypto. But Richard Hart takes the time to actually teach you about liquidity providing, teach you about how the tokenomics of these DEXs work when you do provide liquidity, because it's very simple. Richard Hart created PulseX, and it's a fork of PancakeSwap. So the whole thing is, if one side of the liquidity doubles, the other price 4x's. So the whole entire community understands this, and they're launching these tokens that are just outperforming everything. And it's because A, PulseChain people actually know what they're doing, and B, there actually is a lot of value over here. So honestly, anybody that hates on PulseChain, in my opinion, just really doesn't know what they're talking about, because I've been here for 10 years. I've actually made life-changing amounts of money off this stuff, helped other people do the same thing. And over my entire 10 years, the one community I can say I've learned more from is the PulseChain community. So, people are going to hate on that. But I mean, if I'm able to learn more from that community, what's that say about the people hating on it? I mean, are you smarter than everybody else? Or maybe you're the one that's overlooking some of the value in other places? That's, in my opinion, what's taking place. But, to each their own. It's not like everybody has to be an investor in a PulseChain. But for the people that take the time to look into it, I've already made so much money over on that ecosystem. It's actually insane. So, to each their own, whatever. Let's see here. What is George? Who is George? I still don't even know. Nobody's even taken the time to explain it yet. BT dominance sucks so bad for us altcoin holders. We were basically getting decimated. Yeah, we are getting decimated. However, the more Bitcoin dominance rises, the better it is for the altcoin season. And I want you guys to be very aware of that, because the higher Bitcoin dominance goes, let's pull up this chart. Let's go take a look at the Bitcoin dominance real quick. The higher the Bitcoin dominance goes, the better it's going to be for our alt season. Yes, we're still looking at this thing trending up. It's still maintained this uptrend. Whenever this uptrend eventually stops, you guys got to keep in note that we're up here at the 60% level, right? So if we were only to top at 60% and just come back down to this main support here, you know, that's a huge, huge drop for Bitcoin dominance. And we don't even have to go into a new all-time low and actually go below what we saw in 2018. We can just see us come all the way back down to this main support that we were at over in here in the last cycle. And it's going to be almost the exact same size as that last alt season in our last bull market. So I do think that what happens in this cycle, and I've maintained that, whenever Bitcoin dominance tops, we don't know exactly when that's going to be. My guess is it's going to be sometime around 100K, which is, you know, relatively pretty much where we're at right now. So if we're looking at this, when Bitcoin drops, it's going to come all the way back down to this 40% region. So the question there is, well, does it just bottom and then keep going up after? Or is this going to fall into a new all-time low for the first time since that 2017 cycle? I've always maintained that I did believe that this would go into a new all-time low. And I think that there's just too much oversaturation of meme coins for it not to. I mean, the more altcoins that get added to the ecosystem, the more that they're going to be taking from the Bitcoin dominance. So although that this has been growing, there is going to be that rotation that takes place because it happens every time. We don't have alt season until this chart tops and starts selling off. Whenever this chart tops and starts selling off, the higher Bitcoin dominance goes, the more room altcoins have to actually gain market share over, which means more profit, higher ROI, all of those things. So although it is, you know, discouraging to see Bitcoin dominance continue to rally up, the thing is it shouldn't be that discouraging because the higher Bitcoin dominance goes, the higher altcoins can rally once that rotation takes place. That's just the way it goes. And so, you know, I'm not really one of those that's discouraged by Bitcoin dominance going up because we knew that Bitcoin dominance has always gone up when Bitcoin makes that big, you know, breakout in new all-time highs. It at least did in the last cycle. 2017 was kind of its own thing. So I was anticipating that we're probably going to follow that same pattern. So seeing it play out in that way, yeah, Bitcoin dominance is probably a little bit higher than I initially thought, but I don't look at it as a bad thing because the higher Bitcoin dominance goes, the more room those altcoins are going to have to actually run once that rotation takes place. So don't look at it so negatively because there's always that other side of the coin where, you know, yeah, it's high, but that just means that rotation is going to be that much bigger for those altcoins. So that's what I'm looking at. How does a U.S. citizen buy PulseChain? Well, you can buy PulseChain off MEXC, but if you're an American, you probably can't trade on MEXC. The only other way would be to trade on a DEX, so you'd have to bridge. You'd have to use the PulseChain bridge. Yeah, Crypto Coffee has a video. Let me drop it in the link or in the chat real quick for you guys because Coffee's the guy I always go to. Crypto Coffee's a good guy. I've had the opportunity. Me and him hung out when we went to the Vegas PulseChain conference, and he's a really good guy. Highly recommend his videos. But yeah, I just dropped a YouTube video in the comments, so you guys can go ahead and check out how to bridge. Basically, you just have to bridge from Ethereum to PulseChain, and then from there, you would just swap your wrapped Ethereum for PulseChain. But for me, don't buy PulseChain, buy PulseX. If you're going to buy any of the Richard Heart tokens, I would go for PulseX right now because it's going to outperform. Really, Pulse is the lowest on the list. I would even go for Hex over PulseChain at this point. I was really a big stickler on Hex, and I still recommend that nobody stakes their Hex. Please don't do that. You will get, you know, basically you'll be exit liquidity. However, it's going to pump really hard because there's not very many tokens circulating. It doesn't take very much liquidity to get the tokens prices to move a lot. And like I said, guys, Richard Heart understands liquidity. The whole ecosystem on PulseChain understands liquidity. The whole reason the PulseChain tokens go up is because Richard Heart is worth so many millions and billions of dollars that he just provides liquidity. And like I said, the way that PulseX works and the way Pancake Swap works is if you have, you know, let's say you have Ethereum and you have DI. That's the liquidity pool, ETH and DI. So assuming that the DI portion of the liquidity pool doubles in value, and so you have one side that's worth twice as much as the other side, the way that the tokenomics work on some of these dexes, PulseX and PancakeSwap, the other token has to do a 4x in value because of that, because it moves in a square. So Richard Hart knows all of this stuff, and that's the beauty of it. All of these tokens over here, they take a very small amount of Richard Hart's money that he provides in liquidity, and they just start breaking out and pumping. So people that hate on PulseChain are 1000% just literally just pissing away free money. Like, I was a big hater on it too, always have been, till I went and took a little bit of time to just look into stuff. That's all it takes, guys, genuinely. If you are willing to just do the slightest bit of due diligence in this market, you will make tenfold the effort that you put into it. I would say 1,000-fold the effort you put into it. It's just a matter of being open-minded. Yes, there's shady, scummy people in crypto. There's shady, scummy people everywhere. However, there are people in the markets that have proven with their own money that the entire premise of what they're doing is profit for other people and helping other people. And even though Richard Hart's so filthy rich from all of these sells and stuff, that it's a little bit like, you know, he might say that it's all for helping other people, but the dude's already rich. It's real easy to say that at that point if you're already worth billions of dollars. But the thing is you can track his wallets. You can see all of what he's ever done with his money. He's never sold anything, and he's always done everything to actually make the prices go up from providing liquidity. So it's very simple. I mean, just can't listen to every single person you hear, but if you do take a little bit of time to look into it, I mean, it's not like it's not hard to find out the answers to some of that stuff. So I really think that people should, you know, I don't like Richard Hart as a person necessarily. Like, I think he's obnoxious. He's a narcissist, all of those same things that everybody believes. However, what he's created and what he's building over here is valuable and has made me tons of profit. So it's like, what is there to hate on that? I am here to make money, as is anybody else. Anybody that hates on Richard Hart, you're literally buying meme coins that are worth nothing and provide zero value. So it's like, why would you be so against trading over on this chain when you're already just speculating as is? That's my idea with it. I mean, it's not like it's that big of a speculation. I just think that there's a lot of opportunity over here. So for me, I'm trading it. If you guys see value too, that's awesome. But if you've been following any of these PulseChain calls, we've already printed quite a bit of money on some of this stuff. I think it's only going to get crazier from here too. Let's see here. You guys have any charts you want covered? What do we have? We're sitting at about the 43-minute mark. I'll go about another 17 minutes approximately. So for the rest of this video or the rest of the stream, if you guys have any comments, questions, charts you want covered, altcoins, just comments in general that you have, feel free to drop them. All right, first one, Shiba Inu. I'm currently long Shiba with leverage. So let's go take a little gander over here. Shiba. All right, so looking at Shiba, we're following with what I saw. This is the analysis that I had drawn. Yeah, so we're pretty much just topped at where I kind of thought. So I'm long Shiba since right here, like 2 or 1.9. I don't remember exactly. I'd have to look at the price, but I longed it right before this breakout. So I'm just holding what I have. I haven't added to it, but I do think right now is a good time to add to that position. If we come out to like a weekly, let's go to a 3-day. If we zoom out here, guys, this is our first higher high, ABC. So this is the disbelief phase, right? This is that first breakout that happens at the ending of a market cycle, or the beginning of a new market cycle, I should say. And then it's always right at that period where everybody's like, yeah, it pumped, but it already went all the way back down. This thing's never going to have a new cycle again. And then that's the exact moment where it goes into a new cycle. So I'm anticipating that the next breakout for Shiba is going to be a run, really clearing above this range high that we made in March of this year. Getting back above that, we could see a little bit of a correction take place in that period. But big picture, this thing's going to be running to a new all-time high. It's just following Dogecoin. Right now, Dogecoin is the premier meme. Dogecoin's going to lead the way. We're going to see Pepe really lead, in my opinion, but Shiba's going to always follow Doge. So it's the catch-up play. I fumbled my long entry that I had on Dogecoin like an idiot. Made some profit, but would have made way more profit had I have just ended up holding it all the way. So Shiba for me was the catch-up play. I went and longed it down here knowing it was going to follow Doge. And that's really the contrarian play for Dogecoin, in my opinion. But Pepe, I think Pepe's a better long than probably all of the other meme coins out there, because if you're looking at Pepe and Dogecoin, Pepe's been getting the same 24-hour volume as Dogecoin, but it's got like significantly less market cap. So the big rule in trading, volume precedes price. So if you're seeing tons and tons of volume somewhere, it shows that the price is most likely going to be following suit. Now, it can work both ways. If the market's selling off and you're seeing an increase in volume, that's a bearish thing. But the fact that the markets are trending up and we're seeing, Pepe at the same amounts of volume as Doge, yet Doge is worth significantly more in market cap, I do believe that Pepe is going to be that next big rotation, and it's going to actually outperform Shiba. So if I had to pick, I would personally be going with Pepe over Shiba, but like WIF is a good one. There's Solana meme coins that I think are going to be ripping. There's still a lot of really great plays. It's not like, Shiba is the only meme coin that you can play catch up with Doge. I actually think that there's going to be more rotation into Pepe than there will be Shiba. Let's see here. Trap coin. Shout out for the dono, my friend. Can you look at the Bozo chart? Boz Bank. Yeah, let's look it up. Boz Bank. Boz. Where is it? Is it on Coin Hall? You may have to. I don't see it anywhere. What chain is it on? Oh, Bozo. Sorry, I was spelling it wrong. Bozo. Is it this one? I'm assuming that it's this one, considering this is the biggest one that exists. Is it this one? I want to confirm with you before I jump into any analysis. Okay, so this is the right one. So if we're looking at this, honestly, it looks pretty solid. I like the Elliott waves. Very clear Elliott wave structure. Wave 1, wave 3, wave 4, big wave 5 extended fifth. Saw our ABC. A, B, C back down. Got these two big exhaustion candles here and here at support, really just showing capitulation. And then right out of that, we saw our first little subwave, 5-wave rise. 5 waves up, ABC back down. Kind of look at this a couple different ways, but looks like an ABC that way. And my guess, technically this could be a wave A, B, and we could see one more lower low like that. But I do kind of lean towards this finding support right down in here and then reversing. So this does look just like a one-wave impulse. There is new volume that came in here, 115K 24 hours, and there's only 150K liquidity. So anytime that the 24-hour volume is similar to the liquidity, that's honestly a relatively good sign. Only 10 mil market cap. So when you're looking at these meme coins, one of the things that people don't think about when you're looking at Deck Screener is you can come down here and pull up. You can come down here to the corner and pull up this little tab and it'll show you the holders. So if you're looking at these, you want to look at the holders because this is an issue and this is an issue. So notice how the liquidity pool has only less than 1% of the supply. You want the liquidity pool to be the top holders. You don't want there to be people with 20% of the supply, and you've got 2 people that hold 42.5% of the supply. Really 3 people that own 50%, over 50% of the supply. That's a really big red flag, and generally it can mean that you're going to see the market get dumped on. However, it's not always that way because, Brett was the same way on Coinbase. You had these big whales that gobbled up like 60% of the supply, and then it made the price easier to pump. So you're going to have kind of two sides of this coin where if there is whales that hold a significant portion of that supply, it does mean that it takes significantly less liquidity to make the price go up. So it means the price can much easier make those huge gains. However, the second any of those whales decide to take profit, one big sell wall can literally wipe out all liquidity, and then it ends up just looking like a rug pull. So you got to really be wary about these type of cryptos. What we've seen, if you've been studying any of these meme coins that got listed on Binance, all of them have been community takeovers. And the reason why is because Binance and Coinbase and these big centralized exchanges, they're not going to list meme coins unless they have a very diverse holder base. Basically, what I mean by that is if we come over, let's go pull up Solana. Let's look at the top volume. And let's go look up Dolos the Bully because my buddy recommended this coin to me and it's just been mooning ever since. So with this, if you come down here and look at the holders, notice how there's way more holders. And then if you look at how much more spread out the supply is, you know, it's only the top 7 people that even own 1% of the supply. And it's much more evenly like balanced. That's what you want to be looking for in meme coins. You want to be looking for wallets that don't hold that much of the supply because those are the wallets that end up dumping and taking heavy profits on you. So that's the big thing that you guys need to be aware of. If you see cryptos and altcoins that have just significant whales holding up the whole supply, it's a big red flag. And the tokens that are getting listed by Binance, the only ones that are getting listed are ones that have a very evenly distributed token supply. You know, and then not only that, but a community takeover is basically where you have this meme coin and then the dev rugs and dumps all of his tokens on everybody. And then the community takes it over and then the token just keeps doing its thing without the dev. Binance has only listed community takeovers, meaning they've only listed projects that the dev has panic sold and exited completely and rugged everybody. Meaning they don't have that huge well that's just gobbling up the whole supply because the biggest well, the dev, he already dumped his tokens on everybody. So now it's 100% community grown and organic. Those are the only meme coins that Coinbase and Binance are even listing right now. So it's really, really important to be aware that, you know, going forward, pay attention to who holds, pay attention to the wells. And not only that, but you can track these wallets too. Track the wallets, see if any of these wells are in multiple of the best performing meme coins that have already taken off, because you're looking for wells that are willing to hold, and then you're looking for wells that get into some of those top memes really early. You can do that by tracking these wallets like here, but if you're following the tokens, if you're looking at which memes to buy, make sure you're looking at the holders. You want a diverse amount of holders, and then you want that supply to be evenly distributed. Otherwise, you can run into some issues with them basically rug pulling you more or less. Let's see here. Another dono. Shout out to you, Crypto J. I really do appreciate it. Chart Peanut. Yeah, Peanut. So my buddy Dallin at High Altitude Investing, he called this at like 4 mil market cap or something. My sister's fiance, his little brother, he got in and made tons and tons of money off that call. But yeah, let's pull that up. I don't know why I closed out of that, but here we are. Peanut. So Peanut the squirrel was a meme that blew up because of the fact there was a squirrel named Peanut that the government came in and confiscated from a guy and euthanized. So it became a big meme. But this thing looks really, really good. To me, all it is doing right now is a big ABC correction in wave 4. You know, this thing can come back down to like the 85 cent region. But my guess is relatively soon, this thing's going to bottom. And then we're going to see this thing go into that next new all-time high, and it's just going to be, it looks to me like a wave 1, a wave 3, a wave 4, and then we'll get one more big wave 5, and chances are this wave 5 will be a big old blow off top. You know, this coin itself was actually the fastest token ever to hit like 2 billion or 1 billion in market cap. You know, this thing's not even 20 days old and it's already sitting at 1.5 billion, peaked at $2.5 billion in market cap. So when I'm looking at this, I do believe that we're probably just finishing out one more little lower low here. And then from that lower low, it'll rebound. And then that's just going to be our ABC correction before we rip into a new all-time high. Peanut is one that I really think is going to do well. As long as meme coins are rallying, I think the Peanut's going to be just a really solid one. Oh, I did the wrong one. Peanut on ETH. All right, hold up. I'll go pull that one up. Sorry about that. Where is it? This one? We on the right one here? Let me confirm in the chat. If we're on the right one, is this it? Peanut on ETH. Okay, I think we're right. I think we're good. The second one, and we're not good? All right, hold up. Okay, we're good? All righty. Let's jump in here. So if we're looking at this was our ABC. Believe that this is some type of wave 1, wave 3, wave 4, and wave 5. So this would have been our first impulse. This ABC correction, very small wave C. We kind of rounded out right here, held support. We're unable to actually capitulate lower. We had a lot of new volume that came in here on this breakout. So chances are this is a subwave, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, A, B. Could go a little bit lower, but this could also just be the ending of the correction. This could be an expanded flat before it reverses and starts going up. But for me, you know, if we're going to see peanut on on Solana, which is the number one, the first one, if that thing's going to break out and go into a new all-time high, then all of the other like peanuts on other chains, they're also going to just end up following it, because that's been what they're doing up to this point. What you're going to notice here is that there's a lot of different meme coins that will basically launch on every chain. So like MOG is a good example. MOG is one that was big on ETH. MOG is big on Solana. It's big on Base. Like a lot of these popular meme coins will find another home in a brand new token. It's not even related to that same project, but they'll just launch the same meme on another chain and it will continue to do well. So peanut on ETH, you know, do I think it outperforms peanut on Solana? Well, obviously not, because it's not the first one, but at only a 5.6 million market cap, you know, it could actually outperform it from this point forward. It's just kind of hard to say. Generally, I personally will stay away from clone meme coins, because if there's a meme coin that already got the spotlight on Solana, say like Peanut did, and then somebody copies it and makes one on Ethereum, yeah, there can still be a big run on the one on Ethereum, and we see it happen all the time. However, the risk is significantly higher, and I've found more consistently that I haven't done as well trading those copy meme coins as I have looking for things that are just kind of like their own unique brand. That's what I have found. However, you know, I still think that these are going to do well. Did I really just cover the wrong one again? What one am I supposed to cover here? Because there's like 50 of them. This one and this one. And then there's this one. This is the same. Then there's this one, but this is also on Solana. Well, these are all the same. This is the same one I covered. It was just, is this an older chart or something? Ah, older chart. That's why. Well, it doesn't really change anything realistically. All it does is this is an impulse and correction, and then this is an impulse and correction, and this is an impulse and correction. So we have a wave one, we have a wave, this is a wave one of one, this is a wave one of three, and this is a wave one of three. So basically stacking one waves to the biggest extent that you can have. Generally, you're going to see these big stacking one waves before a really parabolic move comes in. So when I'm looking at the all-time chart, it looks better than the other one I covered, and it still kind of follows along with what I was expecting. Like I said, if we're going to see Peanut on Solana make that next big breakout and finish its wave 5, then I think that Peanut on the other chains, this one specifically being on ETH, I think that it will follow, but it should outperform it because it's got such a smaller market cap. But I mean, the volume is really high. You've got, you know, 30% more volume than the total liquidity, and that's a really good sign. So there is a lot of people interested in buying this. So I think that's a really good setup. Let's see. What other tokens you guys have to cover? Let's scroll up on here. Potential, my friend, it's the only one on ETH. Yeah, but I understand it's the only one on ETH, but it's still following with the same thing. You generally don't want to trade meme coins that are just copying the meme that already blew up. So Peanut the squirrel, it's obviously memeing Peanut, but Peanut already blew up on Solana. So by default, the first mover's advantage is the real one. Anything outside of that is a clone. Even if technically it was added first, it's whichever one gets that first mover's advantage. And I'm not saying that it can't do well, because I obviously think it can. It's just that for me personally, when I've been studying these meme coins, I found that the ones that end up just being like copies of the same meme, if they're not that first mover's advantage, by default, they are a copy, and then they don't perform as well because of that one reason. But it's not like a bad thing. Like I said, you know, this thing probably will outperform Peanut, but the issue is it's higher risk, because if there was a whale that dumped peanut, everybody's going to panic sell this too. So it's just they're really correlated to each other, and it makes it a little bit harder. But I still think there's plenty of opportunity. No hate from this side whatsoever. Alrighty, guys, we just hit an hour, so drop your final charts or tickers that you want covered, and I'll run through these real quick. All right, I hear VeChain 50 million times, so let's jump into this old baby. Alrighty, VeChain. This is one I made a lot of money on in the last cycle. Oh, this looks really bullish. Real bullish. Yeah, so I bought this one all the way back down in here in the last cycle, and I think it went up like 40, 50x, something like that on that run. So this is one that I'm watching going forward. But realistically with VeChain, I mean, so far everything we want to see is played out. Technically, this is broken from downtrending resistance on the log scale. This is getting confirmation. If we're looking at a linear scale, we've already broken out. This, to me, is just a little one-wave impulse before this thing's going to come. It's going to do this. Boom. It's going to run up to this. Could see a little pullback. But big picture, this thing's just going to kind of keep doing this. What we're looking at here is basically this, right? Pretty much that, because we are just right here. If you guys notice, all this slow, nothing, and then you make that first impulse and higher high. It flips that resistance as new support. We're basically just doing the same thing. Obviously, we haven't quite flipped that horizontal level because we would have needed to hold it above here, but it's still the same consolidation, right? It's just a new type of bear market, and I do believe that this is the same as this. And what's coming next is this. But chances are it's going to be more sustainable, right? A lot of these altcoins peaked at like this 65K top, and then they never ended up even making another high. This was when Bitcoin was at 69K. So some of these altcoins made lower highs. Max euphoria in that last cycle was actually in the midsummer. So we had a little bit of an earlier cycle top, even though Bitcoin made a new all-time high, even though altcoins, some of them like Terra Luna, Solana, Phantom, some of those ended up following it for a new high. The majority of altcoins made lower highs at 69K. So when I'm looking at this, I believe that the difference with this cycle is what comes next is this move. But I do believe that we're going to have another one of these versus the last cycle having a lower high. I believe that these are going to have another new all-time high after. We'll make this big breakout into new all-time highs. We'll get that first big correction. And then after that correction, we'll make our final blow off top. I believe this cycle will be a lot more similar to that 2017 cycle, even though, altcoins aren't breaking out into a new all-time high quite yet. So that's my thoughts. Let's see here. Hedera. Let's jump into some hash graph. I had been holding Hedera for a long time, but I got hacked and lost my Hedera on my Atomic wallet, unfortunately. So no longer holding that, but this thing's looking really bullish. Let me actually jump to a different charting website and let's look at HBAR because I need to see the whole chart here. So if we're looking at HBAR, it looks pretty well primed for a brand new all-time high, in my opinion. It's virtually the same as the last chart we looked at, but I like HBAR because this is a wave 1, a wave 3, wave 4, and wave 5. So this entire move is a wave 1 impulse. What comes next is wave 3, which is the biggest, the most volatile, the most ROI is generated in that move. That's what's coming next. So for me, HBAR is just don't sell any of this until it's just making this prior cycle look like a little tiny blip on the radar. That's my opinion with HBAR because it's actually one of the best fundamentally strong tokens that we have on the market currently. So be aware of that. Let's see. Man. Why would I go and pay more on gas fee if I could just go on Solana and get the popular one with less fee? Well, see, that's another thing is like realistically, ETH memes are going to have a harder time pumping because of how freaking nasty ETH gets with fees and stuff. So I really do think that most people are going to consolidate their bets to a Solana or a base chain, something like that. To me, Solana and base are the meme epicenter of the cycle. Like outside of that, every chain's going to have their own meme coins. But I really think that Base and Solana are going to be kind of the top of the hierarchy for that. But Sui's not far behind, or Sway, I should say. Sway is going to be another one of those that are really, really solid. Let's see. All right, let's do one more. One more. And I'm going to eeny, meeny, miny, moe it. I'm closing my eyes and I'm just going to pick one. Oops, I didn't even pick one. Still didn't pick one. Velo. Okay, we'll pull up Velo. Velodrome. I like Velo. This thing looks really solid. Obviously, we pulled back from, I think I bought mine right here, like the top. So I FOMO bought into this, but it's all right. Honestly, this looks like a good time to add to the position because I've liked this one just mainly because very obvious uptrend, looks like the beginning of a parabolic curve. This thing looks like it's ready to just start that next big breakout. And I do believe it's going to run all the way up here to like 6 cents. But, you know, if we're looking at this thing revisiting the all-time highs, you're talking like 100x returns. So these are those type of altcoins that we don't know if they're going to end up revisiting those prior levels. But if they do, which I have seen altcoins do that a lot in the beginning of a new cycle, this is one of those that can really blow up in a big way. Oh, you want Velo Labs. All right. What the heck is that? What is Velo Labs? This is Velo Labs. Velodrome is the one on Coinbase, so this is the right one. Yeah. PulseX. Let's go pull it up. I didn't talk about this yet. I love PulseX. It looks so bullish. Been printing off of this one the last week. Oh, let's pull it up over here, actually. Share tab. All right, guys. Let's jump into this one right here. Oh, yeah. PulseX is just freaking ripping right now. Looks so freaking bullish. Ah, man. Anybody that hates on this ecosystem is going to really miss out on a lot of profit. It just looks so freaking bullish. Yeah, perfect 5-wave rise, correction all the way back down. We're finally clearing above these range highs. We've retested them, flipped them as new support right here, and now we're getting even further continuation from there. So this thing is, it doesn't really get much more bullish than this. I honestly think that this thing's about to, you know, it could, I was anticipating it would hit this level here at 6537, and then we'd probably see a pullback. But I think that this thing's getting ready for that new all-time high breakout. So I'm just holding hodl mode in anything PulseChain, hodl mode in anything crypto as a whole. I don't think that we should be really trying to overtrade too much right now because all we've done up to this point was get our bags ready for this exact moment of time. Now we just want to hold throughout 2025 and make as much as we possibly can. But yeah, we're over the time limit, so I'm gonna wrap things up. But I do appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for the donations. Thank you for anybody that has popped up in here. Just the support, it really does mean a lot. Really looking forward to what's coming over this cycle, guys. I'm telling you right now, you're gonna make a lot of money. I'm seeing every opportunity that exists as more than any of the prior cycles. You know, we have meme coins, we have real DeFi, RWAs, DPIN, you know, AI. There's so many narratives that we can trade this cycle that is just going to be completely life-changing. So check it out. Go and do some research. Make sure that your bags are packed and just ready to hold throughout 2025, because I really do believe that we're all about to make a significant amount of money. And I'm really happy to be able to be sharing this experience with you guys because, you know, this is my third bull run. A lot of you guys, this is maybe your first or second. And, you know, for anybody that's in their first cycle right now, I'm really excited for you guys because it's about to be one of the most life-changing experiences, but also one of the most fun experiences ever, if you're willing to just hold and stick it all the way throughout that cycle. But thank you guys so much for the support. Once again, I love you from the bottom of my heart. And with that being said, I'll catch you guys in the next one. As always, peace out.